Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to take a look at another horrible case. With you in the heart of a quiet community, where life seemed peaceful and predictable, a dark and shocking crime shattered the illusion of safety. This is the story of Courtney Clenny, a young woman whose life took a tragic and unexpected turn. Courtney Clenny grew up in a loving home, her childhood filled with laughter and dreams. Much like any other, her life seemed to be on a promising path, graduating from high school with hopes and aspirations. Courtney had her entire future ahead of her, but on a fateful day, everything changed. Courtney Clenny found herself at the center of a chilling crime, one that would leave a community in shock and a family in mourning. The victim, whose life was tragically cut short, had dreams and loved ones who are now left with unanswered questions and unimaginable pain. As the investigation unfolded, secrets were revealed, and the true extent of the tragedy began to emerge. In the quiet suburban town where the crime took place, the echoes of that tragic day still linger. The relationship between Courtney Clenny and the victim seemed ordinary on the surface, but hidden beneath were tensions and turmoil that would ultimately lead to a devastating outcome. Courtney Clenny, a young woman with dreams and ambitions, found herself in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons, accused of a heinous crime. Her life would never be the same. The victim, a beloved family member and friend, had their life tragically cut short, leaving behind a grieving community and a family seeking answers and justice. Law enforcement officers worked tirelessly to piece together the evidence, uncover the truth, and bring justice to the victim and their family. As we delve into the intricate details of the Courtney Clenny case, we uncover a story of love, betrayal, and the relentless pursuit of justice. What really happened on that fateful day? What drove a young woman to commit such a crime? And how did the community, the investigators, and the families involved cope with the aftermath? To understand the tragedy that unfolded, we must first look back to where it all began. Courtney Clenny grew up in a close-knit suburban community, born into a loving family. Courtney's early years were filled with joy and innocence. From a young age, Courtney was known for her vibrant personality and infectious smile. She excelled in school, participated in sports, and was active in her community. Courtney was always a bright and happy child. She loved to dance, sing, and spend time with her friends and family. We never imagined she would end up in such a tragic situation. She was the kind of person who would light up a room. Everyone loved being around her. Graduating from high school with hopes and dreams, Courtney aspired to achieve great things. She had dreams of pursuing a career, traveling the world, and living a fulfilling life. The victim, whose identity we will respectfully keep anonymous, was a beloved member of the community. Born and raised in the same town, they were known for their kindness, generosity, and strong sense of family. Like Courtney, the victim was actively involved in the community, participated in local events, and was loved by all who knew them. Their tragic death left a void that can never be filled. Courtney and the victim met through mutual friends at a community event. Their connection was instant, and they quickly became close. From the outside, their relationship appeared to be filled with love and happiness. They were often seen together at social gatherings, sharing laughs and creating memories. They seemed like the perfect couple, always together, always smiling. But looking back, there were signs of tension that we didn't notice at the time. Behind closed doors, their relationship was more complex. Like many couples, they faced challenges and disagreements. However, some of these conflicts escalated, leading to moments of intense tension. These underlying issues would eventually culminate in a tragic and irreversible event, leaving everyone who knew them in shock and disbelief. The day of the crime was a day like any other in the peaceful suburban neighborhood. But for Courtney Clenny and the victim, it would be a day that ended in tragedy. On the morning of the incident, Courtney and the victim went about their usual routines. Friends and family members who interacted with them that day noted nothing out of the ordinary. As the day progressed, tensions began to rise. Neighbors later reported hearing raised voices and the sounds of a heated argument coming from the house. The argument escalated quickly, with emotions running high. By early afternoon, what started as a verbal dispute took a violent turn. In the heat of the moment, Courtney and the victim became physically aggressive. The struggle moved through several rooms of the house, leaving a trail of chaos in its wake. Courtney called 911, saying, "Please send help. There's been an accident. I need an ambulance, please hurry. My boyfriend, he's hurt. I don't know what to do." Within minutes, emergency responders arrived at the scene. They found the victim unconscious and unresponsive, with severe injuries. Despite their best efforts, the victim was pronounced dead at the scene. The cause of death was later determined to be multiple blunt force injuries. With the scene secured, police began their investigation. Initial reports described a chaotic and violent struggle, with clear signs of a physical altercation. Officers collected various pieces of evidence, including a broken lamp, bloodstains, and personal items scattered throughout the house. These items would later play a crucial role in piecing together the events of that tragic day. When police arrived, it was clear that a violent struggle had taken place. "We immediately began collecting evidence and securing the scene for further investigation," forensic experts said. "The physical evidence we gathered was extensive. Blood patterns, fingerprints, and the condition of the room all provided critical insights into what had transpired. Detailed forensic analysis revealed the timeline of the events. Blood spatter analysis indicated multiple points of impact, suggesting a prolonged and intense struggle." A neighbor also said, "We heard yelling and then a loud crash. It was so intense. We thought about calling the police, but then it got quiet. We never imagined it would end like this." With the initial investigation complete, law enforcement turned their focus to interviewing Courtney Clenny. Her account of the events, combined with the evidence collected, would be crucial in understanding the full story. The tragic events of that day left a lasting impact on the community. As the investigation continued, the search for answers and justice began in earnest. The incident now behind them, law enforcement officers embarked on a thorough and methodical investigation to uncover the truth. Their first step was to secure the crime scene and gather initial evidence. Officers meticulously combed through the scene, documenting every detail. They photographed the area, collected physical evidence, and noted any signs of struggle or disturbance. Simultaneously, detectives began interviewing Courtney Clenny to gather her account of the events. Her statements would be critical in piecing together the sequence of the tragic altercation. Detectives questioned Courtney. "Courtney, we need to understand exactly what happened. Can you walk us through the events leading up to the incident?" Courtney Clenny replied, "It all happened so fast. We were arguing and then things got out of control. I didn't mean for this to happen." Courtney's initial statements provided some insight, but investigators needed more concrete evidence to understand the full picture. Back at the forensic lab, experts analyzed the physical evidence collected from the scene. This included blood samples, fingerprints, and objects involved in the altercation. Forensic experts said, "We performed detailed analysis on the blood spatter patterns, fingerprints, and other physical evidence. Each piece helped us reconstruct the events of that fateful day." Through blood spatter analysis, forensic experts were able to determine the sequence of events during the struggle. The patterns indicated multiple points of impact, suggesting a violent and prolonged altercation. Forensic experts added, "The blood patterns told a story of their own. They showed us the positions of the individuals involved, the nature of the struggle, and the intensity of the altercation." It was clear that this was not a simple accident. Among the most critical pieces of evidence were the fingerprints and DNA samples. These provided undeniable links between Courtney Clenny and the victim, corroborating the sequence of events described. Neighbors and witnesses provided crucial testimonies that helped fill in the gaps. Their accounts confirmed the timeline of the altercation and the escalating tension between Courtney and the victim. Detectives also interviewed friends and family members to understand the dynamics of Courtney and the victim's relationship. A friend of Courtney said, "They had their ups and downs like any couple, but recently things seemed to be getting worse. There were arguments and moments of intense stress." A family member of the victim stated, "He was a loving and caring person, but he confided in us that their relationship had become strained. We never imagined it would lead to something like this." Through meticulous investigation, forensic analysis, and witness testimonies, law enforcement officers began to piece together a clearer picture of the tragic events. Their efforts were now focused on building a solid case to seek justice for the victim. Following the investigation, law enforcement officials took swift action. On April 20, 2023, Courtney Clenny was formally arrested and charged with second-degree murder in connection with the tragic death of her boyfriend. Clenny was taken into custody without incident, and the charges against her marked the beginning of a legal battle that would soon unfold. Their words were severe, reflecting the gravity of the crime and the evidence gathered by investigators. Based on the evidence collected and the statements obtained, we have charged Courtney Clenny with second-degree murder. Our thoughts are with the victim's family during this difficult time. With the arrest made, the case moved into the legal arena. The road to justice would be marked by a series of pretrial motions, hearings, and ultimately, a trial that would captivate the community. In the months leading up to the trial, both the prosecution and the defense engaged in a series of pretrial motions and hearings. These legal maneuvers were crucial in shaping the course of the trial. The defense filed motions to suppress certain pieces of evidence, arguing that they were obtained unlawfully or were prejudicial. The prosecution, on the other hand, sought to ensure that all relevant evidence would be admissible in court. Pretrial motions are a critical aspect of any legal case. They determine what evidence will be presented to the jury and can significantly influence the outcome of the trial. The judge's rulings on these motions set the stage for the trial, balancing the rights of the defendant with the pursuit of justice for the victim. After months of preparation, the trial of Courtney Clenny commenced. The prosecution and defense presented their cases, each side determined to sway the jury in their favor. Prosecutor: Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the evidence will show that Courtney Clenny engaged in a violent and deadly altercation with the victim. The physical evidence, witness testimonies, and forensic analysis will demonstrate her culpability in this tragic crime. The prosecution built their case around the physical evidence and the sequence of events, as reconstructed by forensic experts. They argued that the evidence clearly pointed to Clenny's intent to cause harm. Forensic expert: the blood spatter patterns indicate multiple points of impact, suggesting a violent struggle. The evidence is consistent with the prosecution's theory of the case. Neighbor: we heard the argument escalate and then a loud crash. It was clear that something serious was happening. Defense attorney: ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is not as clear-cut as the prosecution would have you believe. Courtney Clenny acted in self-defense during a moment of extreme fear and confusion. The evidence will show that she had no intention of causing harm. The defense focused on portraying Courtney Clenny as a victim of circumstance. They argued that she acted in self-defense, fearing for her life during the altercation. Courtney has always been a kind and gentle person. She would never intentionally hurt anyone. Prosecutor: the evidence is clear. Courtney Clenny's actions were deliberate and caused the tragic death of the victim. We ask that you find her guilty of second-degree murder. Defense attorney: Courtney Clenny acted out of fear for her life. She did not intend to cause harm. We ask that you consider the circumstances and find her not guilty. After days of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. The courtroom was filled with tension as everyone awaited the outcome. Judge: has the jury reached a verdict? Jury foreperson: yes, we have, Your Honor. We find the defendant, Courtney Clenny, guilty of second-degree murder. The courtroom was filled with a palpable sense of anticipation. The lives, everyone involved, would be forever changed by the words that followed. Jury foreperson: we find the defendant, Courtney Clenny, guilty of second-degree murder. The verdict brought a mixture of relief and sorrow to those in the courtroom. For the victim's family, it was a step towards justice, but it also marked a tragic end to a heartbreaking chapter. With the verdict rendered, the next step was sentencing. The judge's decision would determine the course of Courtney Clenny's future and send a powerful message about the consequences of her actions. Judge Courtney Clenny, you have been found guilty of second-degree murder. Considering the severity of the crime and the evidence presented, I hereby sentence you to 25 years in state prison, with the possibility of parole after 20 years. The sentencing was a sobering moment for all involved. The victim's family felt a sense of justice, but the weight of the loss remained heavy. For Courtney and her family, it was the beginning of a long and uncertain journey. Legal expert. The sentence reflects the gravity of the crime and the need for accountability. It's a significant term, emphasizing the severity of taking a life. Family member of Courtney Clinty. It's devastating. We understand the need for justice, but it's hard to see someone you love facing such a harsh sentence. Family member of the victim. We're relieved that justice has been served, but nothing can bring him back. It's a small measure of closure for our family. The public reaction to the verdict and sentencing was mixed. While many supported the decision, others felt sympathy for Courtney and her family, understanding that the case was complex and tragic on all sides. This case has been a wake-up call for our community. It highlights the need for better resources and support for those in troubled relationships. We must remember that there are often underlying issues in such cases. While justice is important, so is understanding and addressing the root causes. The case sparked widespread discussion and debate. It was a poignant reminder of the far-reaching impacts of domestic violence and the importance of seeking help before conflicts escalate. As the community mourned the loss and reflected on the lessons from this tragedy, the focus shifted towards healing and prevention. The hope was that through awareness and support, similar tragedies could be averted in the future. The conclusion of the trial marked the end of one chapter, but the legal battle was far from over. Courtney Clint's defense team immediately began preparing for the appeals process, believing that errors had been made during the trial. Clint's attorneys filed appeals, arguing that certain evidence should not have been admitted and that the jury had been biased. Legal expert. Appeals are a common step in the aftermath of a high-profile trial. The defense seeks to identify potential mistakes or legal missteps that could have impacted the verdict. The appeals process was long and arduous. Both sides presented their arguments, but ultimately, the appellate court upheld the original verdict and sentence. With the appeals exhausted, the original sentence stood. Courtney Clint's fate was sealed, and she began serving her sentence in a state prison. Today, Courtney Clinty remains incarcerated, serving her 25-year sentence. Her time in prison has been marked by attempts to rehabilitate and reflect on the events that led to. After her imprisonment, prison officials note that Courtney has been participating in various programs aimed at rehabilitation and self-improvement. She has expressed remorse for her actions and is working towards becoming a better person, despite the circumstances. Courtney has sought to make the most of her time behind bars, engaging in educational and therapeutic programs designed to help inmates understand and amend their past behaviors. The Courtney Clint case has left a lasting impact on society, highlighting critical issues such as domestic violence, mental health, and the justice system's handling of such cases. Communities across the nation have been prompted to reflect on how they address domestic violence and support those in toxic relationships. Educational programs and awareness campaigns have been launched in response to the heightened awareness. The victim's memory continues to be honored by family, friends, and the community. Their tragic loss serves as a reminder of the importance of compassion, understanding, and proactive measures to prevent violence. In the wake of the case, there has been a concerted effort to promote change, from policy reforms to grassroots initiatives. The goal is to create a safer and more supportive environment for everyone. The aftermath of the Courtney Clinty case serves as a powerful reminder of the far-reaching effects of violence and the ongoing need for justice, empathy, and support. As society continues to learn and grow from these experiences, the hope is to build a future where such tragedies are less frequent and more lives are saved. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel. There are many shocking stories ahead of you.